Dear students, I am Dr. Madhu Sehgal, will be teaching you the first paper of botany of your syllabus, which is entitled The Diversity of Viruses, Bacteria and Fungi, and it comprises of 50 marks. This paper is divided into 4 units, in which the first 3 units cover the syllabus of viruses and bacteria in detail and a little bit of fungi. But the 4th unit is mainly purely of fungi, in which you have to study the life cycle of various diseases and the classification of fungi. So starting with anything, we have to know about the general characteristics. Today we will be starting with the general characteristics of bacteria. First of all, we should know what are bacteria. Bacteria are microscopic, prokaryotic, unicellular organisms. What does this microscopic mean? The term microscopic means the organisms which can only be seen with the help of the microscope. These are prokaryotic in nature. Prokaryotic means they are the primitive type of organisms known on earth, in which there is not a well differentiated nucleus. The nucleus is not embounded in a nuclear membrane and is intermingled with the cytoplasm. These are unicellular. Unicellular means that they are made up of a single cell. And a living organism or any organism is either unicellular or it is multicellular. In case of bacteria, these are unicellular. They were discovered by a Dutch cloth merchant known as Antony van Leeuwenhoek. He was initially a cloth merchant, but he observed certain animal-like molecules under a microscope in a drop of rainwater. He observed that the molecules resembled the nature of the animals, so he named them animalcules. What name he gave? He gave the name animalcules, because there was a lot of resemblance with the nature of the animals. But later on, there was a scientist known as Ehrenberg who coined the term bacteria. Depending upon the nature, we can say that the bacteria are omnipresent. When we use this term omnipresent, it means they are present everywhere in the nature where we can think of. It is also on this chalk, on the board, on the food we eat, the clothes we wear. They are present everywhere in the nature, but the only thing is that we are unable to see them without the help of a microscope. So these are omnipresent. These are of various shapes. Different shapes of bacteria are known, like they are mostly rod shaped, and the rod shaped bacteria are called bacillus or bacilli. This is the rod shaped bacteria are the commonest shape of bacteria. The other shape of bacteria is spherical or round shaped. These are called coccus or cocci. This is the rod shaped bacteria. Now, sometimes these bacterial cells exist singly or they occur in chains also. Depending upon the number they may be further classified. So these are rod shaped, spherical, these may be helical or spiral, and lastly comma shaped. These are the various shapes of bacteria in which they are found. Depending upon the mode of nutrition, that is another important aspect of anything that we talk about in general. So depending upon the nutrition, when we talk about bacteria, these are mostly heterotrophic. Mode of nutrition is mostly heterotrophic. It's mostly heterotrophic. What does this heterotrophic means? Heterotrophic means that these are the organisms which derive their food from any external agency or source. They cannot prepare their own food. They have to take the food from some other agency outside. So according to it, they are classified into three categories. The parasites, the saprophytes, and symbiotic. All the three types of heterotrophs are noticed in bacteria. Number one is parasitic, parasites, saprophytics and symbiotic. What are parasites? Any living organisms that are depending upon some other living organism for their food are called the parasites. They cannot make their food, they are dependent on any other living plant or animal or any human being for their food. Then the saprophytes. What are saprophytes? All the bacteria which feed themselves or derive their food source from any dead or decayed material are called saprophytes. So they are also known as decomposers also. And then the symbiotic bacteria. Symbiotic bacteria, you must all have studied symbiosis in your previous classes. It means when an organism is living in a relationship with another organism and benefiting each other, the process is said to be symbiosis. And in this some symbiotic bacteria are also known. Like the example is Rhizobium species, which is found in the leguminous root nodules of the leguminous plants. So all the three types of heterotrophs, parasites, saprophytes and symbiotic, are known in bacteria. Other than this, the other mode of nutrition is autotrophic. What are autotrophic? Autotrophic forms are those forms which are capable of preparing their own food. We all know that plants possess chlorophyll. That's the main pigment which helps them in the photosynthesis, and they can prepare their own food. But in the case of bacteria, there is a difference. There is the pigment known as bacteriochlorophyll, which is quite different from the chlorophyll of the plants, which is present in the involuted cytoplasmic membrane. It's not present everywhere. So it is in the involuted cytoplasmic membrane and it's not scattered, and plastids are not found in the bacterial cell. These are not present in the bacterial cell. The mitochondria is not present, and there are special structures, means the infoldings of the cell membrane. We can see the structure when we will be studying the prokaryotic cell of the bacteria in detail, that there are the foldings of the cell wall, the cell membrane, which is said to be the mesosomes. These mesosomes carry out the function of the mitochondria, and the other organelles like endoplasmic reticulum and Golgi apparatus are not found in the bacterial cell. Depending upon the mode of nutrition, depending upon the mode of nutrition, these are both types. I told you as it is autotrophic and heterotrophic both. So the cell wall, talking about the main characteristic because of which it has been kept it has been studied under the plant group. The cell wall of bacteria is rigid and made up of two polymers. That is the amino acid subunits and the saccharide subunits. So cellulose is not found in the bacterial cell, which is the characteristic feature of the plant cell wall. It's not found in the bacterial cell. They do not possess a true nucleus. The nucleus is not embounded in a nuclear membrane. It is intermingled, as I told you, with the cytoplasm. Chlorophyll pigments, I told you, are found in the cytoplasmic membranes. Then there are certain forms. What is the type of reproduction found in bacteria? Talking generally, all three types of reproduction. That is, the three types of reproduction is: number one, vegetative. Next is asexual, and then is the sexual reproduction. So when we talk about bacteria, all the three types of reproduction is reported in bacteria. Vegetatively, and the most commonest method of reproduction in bacteria is through fission. So that is the commonest method vegetatively. Then through asexual method is also there, and there is no true sexual reproduction found in the bacteria. Only there is the recombination of the genetic material that takes place, which also takes place by three processes, that is the conjugation, transformation and transduction, that we will be studying in detail later on. And then all the three forms are reported, means all the three types of reproduction is there: vegetative, asexual and sexual. But sexual is not the true type of sexual reproduction. There are no sexual organs as it is, or there is no fusion. Only there is the genetic recombination that takes place through various processes. Then there are certain forms of bacteria that are said to be motile, which again resembles the characteristics of the animals. Means motility means they can move, but the motion is only due to the presence of a flagella. If the body is flagellated, this is the flagella. If the flagella is present, the bacterial cell is able to move. Depending upon the number of flagella, there has also been a classification of bacteria. Like if a bacterial cell doesn't possess a flagella, it will be known as atrichous. If there is a single flagella present, it will be monotrichous. So continuously like that, when we will be describing or when we will be studying the classification of bacteria in detail, we will be going about it. So these are the main general characteristics of bacteria. Apart from this, we all know that when we talk about microorganisms, that the thing clicks our mind is that they will be causing disease. In case of bacteria, it's not that case. They are more useful for the environment rather than causing disease in plants, animals, etc. Like there are certain very big manufacturing processes that are only based on the bacterial activity. If the bacteria wouldn't exist, they wouldn't survive. So we will be studying the bacterial economic importance in detail, in which both the aspects, like the useful aspects as well as the harmful aspects, will be studied. So for today it's only this much. We'll be carrying forward with the lecture in the next series now.